63 is in Edgewood. 83 is
You don't need to live with aches and pains. Visit relieffactor.com today.
You are about to hear the most interesting, informative, thought-provoking, and funny show in America. On air and on the World Wide Web. This is the Rob Carson Show.
This is the Rob Carson Show. Hello and welcome to it. I am in Washington, D.C. This has been a heck of a weekend. Oh, my Lord, you have no idea. Because, you know, I did most of the moving. We had some wonderful helpers. Sammy and his brother helped out, and then we took apart my studio that I built in Old Town Alexandria on Friday. We had it down here. It says I'm a little blurry. Am I a little blurry? Are you sure it's not you? We'll check the settings on it. I see it is a little blurry, isn't it? I'm not sure exactly what the problem is. Does that help? Let me see. We're going to look at my stuff on the camera and whatnot, but anyway, we are here. In the next break, we will look at the settings on the camera. That said, yeah, there's no checking the focus. It's actually going to be the bandwidth we're broadcasting at. The focus is perfectly fine on my end. It just looks a little blurry on your end, but we'll get it figured out. It happens when you're going through the cloud. So anyway, welcome to the show. Please decide to have here today. Can't even begin to tell you what this last 72 hours has been like. Again, we tore everything down. The studio that I'd taken 10 months to build and all of my sweat and tears, we tore it down in about an hour, threw it in a truck and in the back of my Bronco, and drove it into Washington, D.C. We unloaded it on Friday. I started to assemble it on Friday. Then on Sunday, I came back in, spent most of the day here, completely immersed in putting the studio together. Voice out of sync with audio. We'll have to have an engineer come in and check it out. I apologize in the meantime. In the meantime, you radio affiliates, everything is perfect. WCGA 1100 AM, Woodbine, Georgia, brand new affiliate. Jacksonville, Florida, brand new affiliate. Mr. Wesley Cox is the president and general manager, and we are so glad to be a part of this glorious team. WCGA 1100, Woodbine, Georgia, Jacksonville, Florida. My goodness, we've added another glorious affiliate to the radio program, and it's an important part of the overall program. It is an overall a part of the program. We do a live stream. We are on Newsmax social media. We are, of course, on radio stations around the country, and then, of course, the podcast as well. So we reach people in a lot of different ways. Let me continue with my story about the weekend, and then we'll dive into the news of the weekend, which I know you want to get to that guy being thrown by the buffalo at Yellowstone. That's the big story of the day, the old guy being thrown in the air by a buffalo. Man, I'm going to tell you what. I don't know what the authorities have to say, but I'd be having buffalo burgers for dinner if that buffalo charged me, but I guess you can't do that in Yellowstone. Thrown in the air. See that video so many times. I had dreams about this guy getting thrown by the buffalo and all of that. That said, we got everything put together yesterday. We had to install new lighting and everything. Had to install air conditioning. When I was here on Sunday, see, this is just an unused space generally, and they've done a few things in here. It's not well ventilated. It was 86 degrees before I turned my computer on Sunday. And so we got the AC in and everything today, this morning, got the lighting up this morning. Again, we'll have to check the settings on the broadcast to make sure everything is clean and clear and all that. But last night, I want to mention this because, and we're going to talk later about this in the show. the very first day that I was in Washington, D.C. proper, working in Washington, D.C. proper, I was invited to our nation's capital last night with a wonderful man who you are familiar with. He's been on the show many times. I've known him now going on 7 years, Matthew Faraci, Gideon 300, Angel Studios, and he arranged this. And I went with a group of other influencers, people there. Steven Crowder, not Steven Crowder is, some people representing him. I guess he's kind of a big deal. He couldn't be there, whatever. And I like his stuff, by the way. TPUSA, there were folks there from TPUSA and other notables in conservative punditry and the conservative blogosphere. And I was invited into the nation's capital to join them and arrive at the nation's capital, and we go into this room, and Matthew Faraci hurries me over to the microphone to introduce everything. And I'm like, okay, sure. Now, a couple things have happened to me in the last few years that have been pretty, it might make someone be a little bit shaken. For instance, I was at Mar-a-Lago about 4 years ago, and I was sitting at a dinner table, and I'd been invited there by Chris Ruddy, and President Trump was there, and he came in and was standing at the end of the table, and he said, "Rob, say a few words." I'm like, okay, all right, hold on. I was just selling cars a year and a half ago, and you want me to say a few words? Okay. So I got up and I said a few words. It was pretty cool. And then a couple months ago, I was invited to the Kennedy Center, and I was there to introduce a couple of people. I'm trying to Shark Tank. I'm drawing a blank on Kevin's name. Anyway, it was invited to the Kennedy Center, and I was told that I was just going to introduce. The speakers at this performance on stage, and a half an hour before, I'm told, no, you're actually going to. You're going to MC the whole deal, and you're going to interview the cast members. So Kevin O'Leary was there, and I'd never met Kevin O'Leary before, and I was told, okay, you gotta host it. So I said, you know what, hell, I'll do it. What the hell? And I went out and I owned it. I had to improvise a bunch of stuff, and then last night I'm standing here, and I'm told, go up and introduce everything. I'm like, okay. So I went up there and I introduced everything, and we got the ball rolling. And then soon thereafter, I got to meet Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, and we will speak more about this as the show progresses. But it was oh my gosh in heaven. It was more than I ever could have imagined or dreamed, to be quite honest. It was more than I could have ever imagined or dreamed, to be quite honest. We walked around. We got invited into the chamber of the House. No one else was there. Had to leave your recording materials outside. Went in and sat down, listened to the speaker talk about the House of Representatives, about the State of the Union. It was interesting. He breaks into this Trump impression that's very funny, by the way. He breaks into this impression very, very, and it's just brilliant. And then we went into what was the original chamber of the House, which is pretty interesting. I'm going to get rid of this troll on Rumble because you know what? We ain't got time for you. Goodbye. You're fool. Anyway, so we go into the original House area, and apparently John Quincy Adams died there. He had a stroke and passed out there, and then died 2 days later. And Abraham Lincoln was sitting about 20 feet from him, and I thought that was pretty fascinating. And then we went into the chapel near his office, and the office is. The office is unbelievable. The office of the Speaker is absolutely remarkable. It is an amazing room, and he showed us all the stuff in there and the memorabilia that he'd been given. And when we were in the chapel, and he was talking about how dealing with the Democrats and how terrible they are, and talking about the big beautiful bill and how members of the House would go in there and pray, and he said that he'd been in there praying so many times that there was actually knee marks, where the knee stand was, in the chapel, and it was remarkable to hear from him unabashedly talking about how faith is an absolute hallmark of America, and we cannot exist without acknowledgement of God, whether you like it or not, Democrats or atheists or whatever the hell. Sorry, we were founded on it. We believe in God. We believe God gave us our rights, not man. Otherwise, man could take it away, like these little punk Democrat socialists think they're going to do, but we're going to kick their rear ends up between their little punk shoulders. We're going to do this. That said, I left the evening after the two. Then we had dinner at this dinner, and in walks Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz walks in, and I walked up, and I just my friend who was with me, my friend Nick, she was absolutely mind blown. You had to carry her over to meet Ted Cruz, and introduced ourselves to Ted Cruz and said how much I appreciate him as a statesman and all of this. And then we sat down for dinner, and I was sitting next to this basketball player. And well, of course I forget his name, but hold on one second. I always forget. I apologize, guys. I've had no sleep. Ernest Cantor Freedom. So I was. Enos Cantor Freedom. Enos Cantor Freedom was sitting across from me at the dinner table, handing me the rolls and everything. I'd say hand me a roll, and he'd shoot it like a hook shot. But it was something else. It was something else, and it all happened on the first day that I was in Washington D.C. It all happened on the first day that I was in Washington D.C. And today is my first day broadcasting in Washington D.C. As I go to the break, I'm going to go run and grab an engineer. And get the picture to look right, because it is a little bit blurry right now, and all of that. But we are here. We're in Washington D.C. Mom, I'm in Washington D.C. I'm living in Alexandria, Virginia, and I'm now broadcasting from the heart of the swamp in Washington D.C. in the studios of Newsmax Broadcasting. It is an honor I can't even begin to express, and it is a blessing. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS,
right here. Watch it right here and don't hit the monitor.
The Rob Carson Show podcast is everywhere.
Yeah.
Go to Newsmax.com/listen for details.
It is the Rob Carson Show. We are having issues with this stream, and this is to be expected because we just moved every dang thing. We just moved everything. You know what I'm thinking, gentlemen? I don't think it's here. I think it's on Restream. I think it's something going on with where it is. Yeah. So we're going to get it straightened out, guys. I apologize. It's pixelating right now. It's being slow. Part of it could be our internet connection, so we're just going to have to deal with it. I've got a hosted show to host. I'm not the engineer there, so we're going to get it figured out, and hopefully get it back to where we need to be. I'm going to try 720 and see what happens. Ken, tell me if 720 works. I just switched it there, and I'm not going to mess too much with it because I'm trying to do the show. So let's move on to other things. Let's start with Iran, and this is kind of fun. This is what Jesse Waters had to say about what's going on with Iran, because basically it's what I said. Donald Trump was going to have to kick some butt.
No more love taps. Trump says it's time for bitch slaps.
There you go.
We're hitting them very hard. We had a deal yesterday or the day before yesterday. It was all done. And then they broke up that deal immediately because they found out there was something in the deal they didn't like. And they're wired differently, and we're not going to put up with it. We are just going forward. We're attacking them tonight. We're taking out all of their capability for anything having to do with the Strait, with the Hormuz Strait. And I think in the end, we will end up just controlling the whole thing.
Yeah, there you go. That's what we're going to have to do. Got to control the whole darn thing, ladies and gentlemen. This is Brandon from Jim Gossett as the Prezi on the Rob Carson Show.
The ceasefire with Iran is dead. Here's what we're gonna do instead. We're gonna block around the clock tonight. The blockade has no end in sight. We're gonna block the Strait of Hormuz day and night. Ships we are not letting through. Communist China, that means you. We're gonna block around the clock for sure. It's more than they can endure. Around the blockade there is no detour. If you try to cross the strait, then you will seal your fate. We're gonna sink your ship to the ocean floor. You won't be sailing anymore. You're never ever gonna see the shore. How long will this blockade last? Should surrender, do it faster. We'll keep blocking the Hormuz Strait. Soon it's gonna be too late. We're gonna block, block, block. You must not hesitate.
All right, it's the Rob Carson Show. Again, we are attempting to get the stream going. The stream is a little bit slow today for whatever reason. And it's a little bit blurry, so I do apologize for that. Yeah, it looks like what we're doing is we're going to put them out of our misery. That's what appears is going to happen. This is former Navy SEAL Jim Hansen talking about what we're going to do with Hormuz and what we're going to do with Karg Island.
I think the first thing President Trump's going to do is own the Strait of Hormuz. That's vital. You know, we can't. That's the only threat left. It's not like they can say, oh, you're going to blockade, we're going to stop your blockade, line the navies up and, fire broadsides at each other. Their navy's on the bottom of the ocean. They got nothing left, a few mosquito boats, as you call them, and those aren't going to be a problem. So he will take control of that and ensure that oil can flow out for those people who deserve to have the oil flow out. But that shuts off all the revenue again to the Iranians, and he had to stop that because the world's oil reserves were running a little low, and now he's figured out how to do that. If we keep it open by force and they can't get theirs out, solves both problems.
Right.
If that doesn't work, then we go to the next. We don't need Karg Island if they can't get the oil out. It's symbolic. We shut Karg Island down with the blockade as easily as we do by going there and turning off the taps. Maybe send the SEALs in and blow something up just for grins.
Well, that'd be kind of fun, wouldn't it? Yeah, maybe just send them in for a little bit bleeps and giggles and all of that stuff. So, again, right now, for those of you just tuning in, we are trying to get the stream to look good, and I sincerely apologize. We're in a brand new building. We got all sorts of different settings. We unplugged everything. We replugged everything in, but we're going to get it. We're going to get it figured out. Here is this is Jesse Waters. Actually, he does a really good job distilling all of this. Basically, we've had take from them.
So while commercial traffic's being protected by an American security umbrella, at the same time, CENTCOM launching 3 straight nights of devastating airstrikes against enemy targets on the coastline, 140 targets to be exact, coming from fighter jets, naval ships, and one-way attack drones, hitting their air defense systems, radar sites, missile and drone sites, and the Mosquito fleet. And for the first time ever, we deployed one-way attack sea drones.
Oh, that was cool. 3
Corsair unmanned...
Did you see those? Those were freaking unbelievable.
And the sea drones were sent to one of Iran's most crucial ports, Bandar Abbas Naval Base. The sea drones picked off an Iranian submarine.
Yeah, took out a sub.
24-foot speedboats, basically, and they can carry 1,000 pounds on board. They're made in Texas. $1 million a pop. We have 2 aircraft carriers in theater, the Lincoln and the George H.W. Bush.
I know.
They come.
Well, this goes along with what was being said on Friday, is that the memorandum of understanding was not for the Iranians; it was for us to regroup and hit them again.
Strapped with F-35 stealth fighter jets and Super Hornets, 15 destroyers also operating close by. We still have about 10 to 15% of enemy targets that still have yet to be hit.
Yeah.
Not because we couldn't hit them, but because we decided to show a little mercy and cut a deal.
Yeah.
But the Iranians, they violated it.
Yeah.
Why? Well, the decapitation strikes at the start of the war were so successful, we completely fractured the Iranian leadership. And now it's clear that the politicians who signed this memorandum of understanding didn't have the clout to enforce it.
Yeah. And we can't deal with them, by the way. And we never were able to deal with them. And we were never going to come to an agreement with them. If there is anyone in charge that is from the IRGC or a member of the Ayatollah's regime, they cannot be dealt with. And the thing is that they're so arrogant and they're so proud that they do stupid crap like attacking ships in the Straits of Hormuz or territories around there, and consequently Donald Trump has quite simply had enough, and I think it's great. I think it's absolutely fantastic, and I think we need to wipe them off the face of the planet, and then we can regroup, and then the people of Persia can finally be free. I think that's what has to happen. I've been saying that, I don't know, since day one. Remember that? Yeah, day one I said that. Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaver joins us to talk about this coming up. Don't go anywhere. For 250 years, Americans have believed in one powerful idea, that we were meant to live free. Free to work hard, free to move, free to enjoy life without being held back. But if everyday aches and pains are slowing you down, might be time to declare your independence from pain. I take Relief Factor. There's a reason why at my age I'm able to crush it at the gym and ride 30 miles on a mountain bike on Saturday mornings. Relief Factor. It's 100% drug-free, research-based formula designed to help your body fight inflammation, one of the root causes of pain. It's not a quick fix or a temporary mask. It works from inside out at the source. Relief Factor was created so people could get back to living life on their terms, walking, working, exercising, enjoying the moments that matter. This year, as we celebrate 250 years of American independence, take a stand for your own freedom. To commemorate, they're offering a special patriotic price, just $17.76. Yeah, your $17.76 3-week quick start is ready for you. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4-RELIEF. ReliefFactor.com or 800-4-RELIEF.
Hi, it's Tony Marino, host of the super popular Newsmax Daily podcast, a rundown of the day's top headlines and top highlights of Newsmax shows and interviews you may have missed, plus some sports, stock markets, and even some yucks, all packed into about 20 minutes. Search for the Newsmax Daily with me, Tony Marino, on your favorite podcast platform, and check out our entire lineup of great podcasts, including Greg Kelly, Rob Carson, and Jerry Callahan at newsmax.com/listen.
I always accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, latch on to the affirmative. With me, there is no in between. State of the Union scored, approval rate how it has soared. Democrats cannot afford to take me for granted anymore. Inflation's low, employment's high. The Dow Jones, it is headed for the sky. Borders secure, illegals aren't jetting in. That's why I accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, latch on to the affirmative. With me, there is no in between.
Hey guys, it's Carson for Ghost Bed. Do you really want another summer like last summer, barely sleeping because you were too hot all night? People blame summer heat for bad sleep when it really may be their mattress trapping heat. And if you already sleep hot, summer only makes it worse. That's why I switched to Ghost Bed. Helps keep you cool all night, no waking up sweaty, tossing and turning, or throwing the covers off at 2 a.m. Cooling tech is built into every mattress. It's not some expensive upgrade you have to pay extra for. Hot sleepers are some of Ghost Bed's happiest customers. Read the reviews. You get incredible support, less stiffness, deeper sleep, more rested mornings. I got my Ghost Bed about 6 months ago, and it changed my life. Ghost Bed gives you one-on-one nights to try it at home. You can sleep on it all summer long and feel the difference for yourself. How many more summers are you going to waste on bad sleep? Ghost Bed is currently having their 4th of July sale, offering my audience an extra 10% off. Go to ghostbed.com/Carson. Use the promo code Carson. That's ghostbed.com/Carson, promo code Carson.
PM.
The military faction, they don't want peace, and they see their power slipping away. They don't want us to come get the dust. They don't want to make a deal with the devil. And they're broke, and they only have one card left to play, and that's terrorism. Firing on unarmed commercial ships, firing missiles indiscriminately at their neighbors. The president's probably considering another round of decapitation strikes, and we have the intel. Sources on the ground and eyes in the sky. We know where everybody is, even the gay Ayatollah. They misbehave, pain. That's why we structured the deal like this.
Yes.
The president's had enough.
Yeah, pretty much. I think the president has had enough, and he's done messing around. And honestly, I thought the president was far too patient with the Iranian regime, thinking we could actually negotiate with them. There was no way. Here to talk about this, and I very definitely respect his opinion on all of these things, Lieutenant Colonel Tony Schaefer, newlywed, by the way, Tony Schaefer, the president of Project Sentinel. How you doing, my friend? Oh, brother! Congratulations on the nuptials.
I'm trying to settle in the married life.
I'm really happy for you. I just think it's fantastic. I think it's fantastic. So congratulations.
Thank you. Well, I was disappointed because I didn't get any strippers at my bachelor's party. But other than that, it was good. Just
it might be a little old for the strippers at the bachelor party. And a little too old for Chuck E. Cheese. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's too old for strippers, Rob.
You know what? I got to tell you something, Tony. If you would have had a bachelor party, I would have gone. I would have been the designated driver for your bachelor party. All right.
I'm sure.
Well, I'm happy for you. You look happy. And by the way, in case anyone's wondering, you married way above your pay grade.
Of course.
All right.
Job.
Maybe there's hope for me.
We have to be, able to get into things.
Maybe there's hope for me, bro. Maybe there's hope for me. All right, so let's talk about Iran. It sounds like Trump's about done with them. And it sounds like we're on the way to ending this damn thing and maybe ushering in some new governance for that country.
Yeah, the ultimate outcome is still the Venezuela model. We've talked about this. Yep. I don't think it's changed. The problem is this. Obviously, Iran is an order of magnitude larger than Venezuela.
Yeah.
And the fact is you have a regime which had way more time than Chavez to dig in. I mean, you're talking, and President Trump said this in multiple interviews recently about, hey, 1947. I'm sorry, 47 years ago, 1979, 47 years ago, this all started. Yeah. And every president since then, to include Obama, who really kind of played for the other team, just saying, made it worse. Yeah. So he's trying to basically clean up 47 years of incompetence. And that pains me because I'm a Reagan guy. Reagan didn't take care of this either, just saying.
Yeah.
So it's something that needs to be done, and I think he's prepared to do it.
Yeah, and also I'll mention the Venezuela regime is completely different. It's communism versus Islamism. Islamism is an ideology that believes that death is greater than life. So that's why this has taken so long to take care of.
Yeah, well, that's a great point because, to your point, Venezuelan leaders are rational. They want to live.
Yeah.
So when you're dealing with a death cult who believes that they're basically working to bring about the apocalypse as part of their religious dogma, then you're not going to get them persuaded by using military force. And so I'm a proponent of this. I think you are too. If they seek death, let's give it to them.
100%.
Just let them have it.
So it sounds like we've really waylaid them. I mean, you look at the last, 4 or 5 days now, hitting 90-plus targets per day. They've started using these drone boats now, which is the sea-bound drones, which have took out a submarine, among other things. And I had heard the other day that the memorandum of understanding really wasn't for the Iranians. It was for Americans. It was for us to regroup and add resources. So it sounds like we're in this to finish it.
I think that both sides wanted to use this time to replenish, but the problem is they don't have anything to replenish.
No.
I mean, there's nobody who's going to help them. I think they anticipated potentially China, Russia, and some other former allies coming in. That didn't happen. And I think this is part of the strategy that President Trump's doing. And this is where I know the left and the neocons get upset with him. It's like, look, dealing with the Russians, allowing a certain level of contact so that we're trying to work with them to end Ukraine permits us to basically discourage them, the Russians, from dealing with Iran. So people have to look at this from a larger lens, not simply saying Russia's bad. It's like, yeah, Russia's bad, but even during the Reagan years, we were able to deal with them in such a way that resulted in a rational end of a conflict. So we now have to deal with Russia, who is rational, and Iran, who is irrational. And the idea is to isolate those who are irrational and cut them off from any ability to resupply. So Did we resupply? Absolutely. There's no shortage of missiles. I've heard all this stuff, and you did too, Rob, about, there's a shortage of weapons, and the Pentagon's like, there's no shortage. We just have to move things around to get them where they need to be.
What about Strait of Hormuz? It sounds like, or the Straits of Hormuz, Donald Trump is basically wresting control completely from the Iranians. It sounds like we had the ability to do this all along. It's just a matter of whether we decided to just really kick some serious ass, and it sounds like we're doing that now.
Yes. We could have done it at any time. We've had the military forces within the region able to respond, and I've said about 24 hours from the time the word is given by the president to the time that we would seize control. I estimate 24 hours. Yeah. I have not gotten from anybody at the Pentagon.
Wow.
This is Tony Schaefer's ballpark estimate, and based on what I've seen regarding forces moving into the region and what's available. So yeah, it's because you're not seizing a country, you're seizing key terrain. You're seizing Karg Island and a handful of other islands in that area, plus certain parts of the strait. So you don't need to have a large military force to be effective to seize key centers of gravity to be effective.
Are we going to have troops on Karg Island to kind of manage the situation like we have in post-war countries like Germany and whatnot?
Yeah, you're going to have some level of physical presence, absolutely.
Yeah. And
I would estimate probably about at the most you probably have about 3,000 to 4,000 folks eventually deployed, because it's this is where the Army would come into this, because Rob, it's not so much about us conducting military operations. I think I'm going to brag on the military. I think we can do that in pretty short order. The issue becomes, how do we secure, maintain, and then make it productive for our purposes? The idea is we want Iranian oil to be sold into our interest and the interest of the Iranian people, not the mullahs. And that part would take longer, and obviously could be extended for a while.
Just think about this, Tony. You got a country of 90 million people. They've been told that told the whole world they had a formidable military, certainly an ability to launch missiles long distance and thousands of missiles in their arsenal. And Donald Trump was able to wage this effectively 7 weeks total of actual military conflict, the rest in talks, and the price of oil only went over $100 a barrel one time. That's pretty amazing.
And it's still below 80 right now.
I know.
Check.
I know.
It's still reasonable.
It is remarkable. I'd like to, if you could hold on through the break, I'd like to talk about Ukraine and what's going on with that. Obviously, Lindsey Graham was just returning from there, and we'll touch on the other side of the break. We're talking to Lieutenant Colonel Tony Schaefer. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show.
WCBM.
No more love taps. Trump says it's time for bitch slaps.
That's literally what they were calling it on the books. Operation B-Slap on Friday. I think it's hilarious. And it is occasionally, you use the expression, obviously. It's basically when you're sick and damn tired of somebody B-slapping you, you give it right back to them. And that sounds like what's happening with Iran right now. And by the way, Tony Shaver is such an American badass. His honeymoon was on Carg Island. I don't know if you knew this. I saw the pictures. They were... So let's talk a little.
We're just looking for a place that had less sand and more oil. That's all.
Yes, exactly. Can you oil me up? Yeah, of course. So let's talk a little bit about Ukraine. Lindsey Graham was in Ukraine. He had briefed the president one of his last phone calls, and it sounded like they were making some progress. What do you know about this, bud?
So the issue was secondary sanctions. That was the bill that Graham was working on, and also he had toured a plant, a Skyfall drone plant in Kiev. So that was significant. Obviously, one of the things that President Trump has encouraged that the Ukrainians become more independent, both by production of their own weapons and, basically fighting their own fight.
Yeah.
Now, I'll say this: the Russians have suffered greatly at the hands of the Ukrainians regarding this enhanced drone campaign. I mean, the Russians have suffered gravely regarding fuel, oil, and all this stuff. I mean, there's no way of hiding it. And so Graham was trying to use the Ukrainian success to justify pushing for the U.S. to go into secondary sanctions on Russian oil. Now, first off, we've been allowing Russia oil to be sold, and let me give you a little a point of shock. The Europeans are buying record amounts of Russian oil right now, believe it or not.
Really?
I mean, it's that they're financing and attacking Ukraine, the Russians, they're buying all the oil. So it's a very strange time.
Yeah.
But in that case, Graham was trying, I know, it's weird, but Graham was trying to come back and get the Senate to pass this larger, set of sanctions that President Trump would be able to do. Now, I'll be blunt. Without Graham, it's not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. Even Tom Cotton, I don't think has the oomph to get it through. So don't take my comments as pro-Russian because they're not. I'm just saying the reality is, as much as the Ukrainians have been effective in hobbling the Russians, clearly President Trump has been, trying to manage global energy that goes beyond the scope of any single conflict. So. I God rest his soul to Senator Graham, but I just don't see the Senate being as aggressive in their trying to get this bill passed now that Graham has passed.
How is Ukraine funding their war effort? We're not sending them hundreds of billions of dollars anymore.
Well, it's the Europeans. So the Europeans have been able to pledge and provide a certain number of billions of dollars, and this has been something that some of the nations have, like the Germany, France, and the UK have been the primary financiers of the continuation of the war.
Yeah.
And there's an argument, Rob, that there's a limited time that they can do that too, because those economies are suffering badly right now.
Mm-hmm.
And further, I don't know if you know this, we've cut off our liquid petroleum gas to the Europeans because of their green energy shenanigans. To talk about a bad time for them to be trying to put new controls on our LPG exports.
Yeah.
And basically, President Trump said, "Fine, you're not going to get anything. You can figure it out. You can figure it out for yourself." So, the Russians, the Europeans have put themselves in a very bad position regarding, upsetting President Trump, giving some level of support to NATO, kind of, sort of. Between you and me, I don't think it's going to last. I think they said what they had to with President Trump at the NATO summit, hoping he'll go away. I just don't see them stepping up.
Finally, let's talk a little bit about Cuba. I thought this was kind of interesting, and I actually laughably, it's so third world. It's just so third world. Desperate Castro family offers Trump a private island. for a super resort as president. This is so stupid. They're going to give him an island, Cayo Santa Maria. Super resort would be named Trump Island if only U.S. Sanctions are lifted, pitching empty hotels and untapped coastline to investors, including a UAE family business with ambitions to build a Trump-branded resort. They have an AI image of Trump in a flowered shirt sipping a mojito beside a skyscraper emblazoned with his name. This is so third world, Tony, and it's clear that they're very desperate.
Well, maybe they could get Ricardo Montalban to come back from the dead to be Mr. Rourke.
Look, boss,
that too would be,
the plane.
So it could be Fantasy Island, you know, and that would give it a flavor. The plane, boss, the plane.
What do you think's going to happen? What's going to happen down there? What's going to happen with Cuba?
So we have been, again, following the strategy of economic deprivation of the country, essentially a virtual blockade. We've cut off their energy. I think it's been reported accurately that there's blackouts that last something like 23 hours a day. You get like 1 hour of energy. I guess you better have your cell phones plugged in so you can charge them up.
Do you suppose? But are the people? Do you feel like the people are going to uprise? Do you feel like the people are going to uprise and throw over this government?
Well, yeah, I do. I think the government is in a position where it cannot sustain any services or self-support. So, yeah, I think it's inevitable at this point that if they're where they're offering islands, Trump should come back and say, yeah, we'll take the whole thing. Just give us all the big island. Cuba.
We'll thank you. You can have the small one for you commies. You can go live on that crap hole. Tony.
You can take the small one.
Yeah, exactly. Tony Schaefer, thank you so much, man. Again, congratulations on your nuptial. I'm really happy for you, and I wish you all the best. Thanks for joining me. We'll talk again soon. Let's take a break and come back. This is The Rob Carson Show. Is there a delay, Brian? I wonder if there is.
Hey guys, it's Carson for Birch Gold.
I don't know. You may have one. I'm not
sure. Yeah, it seems like I don't know.
Foundation set by the framers. Hamilton
it's better. We have some light. We need to kill some lights. All right, we got a few things ironed out. It's still not perfect.
A principle later embodied. Inflation erode the dollar's value.
here.
It is a Rob Carson Show, broadcasting live once again. Brand new confines in the heart of Washington, D.C., 14th Street in Washington, D.C., the Newsmax studios. This is a big deal for me. We have a few little glitches we need to get through. The stream might appear a little bit blurry where you are. Don't worry, it's not your eyes, Hunter. But it is a little bit blurry. We're trying to get all those things figured out. We have new servers. We have new new Wi-Fi and everything, and So we'll get it all figured out eventually, and I appreciate your patience in the meantime. I'm looking at the stream right now for Rumble. Looks pretty darn good, so thanks for your patience. It means a lot. I've been working for Newsmax for nearly 7 years, and I have been working in a studio by myself, talking to an empty room for about a decade. And this is the first time that I've been back in a building with people, and it has been just absolutely overwhelmingly positive and amazing. Absolutely positive and amazing, and I'm blessed and grateful to be here. Why wouldn't we be celebrating America 250? We wouldn't be if it weren't for the strong foundation set by the framers. Hamilton built America's financial foundation on the principle of sound, stable money, a principle later embodied by the gold standard. However, we abandoned that discipline in 1971, have seen inflation erode the dollar's value. You all know this has been terrible. It's been terrible. Your money's worth nothing. Birch Gold has been helping Americans solidify their savings with gold for 15 years. They'll help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. That's what I did. I did it with my money. And so my money is in gold. At least part of it is. It makes sense. You got to diversify, ladies and gentlemen. Got to diversify. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and countless 5-stars reviews, let Birch Gold help you build your foundation with gold. And all you got to do is just text my name, Rob, to the number 989898. Rob to 989898 for Birch Gold. You'll get a no-obligation phone call and information, and then you can get the ball rolling on converting that IRA or 401k into some gold with a company that I trust, and I absolutely do trust. Obviously, Lindsey Graham's passing has still kind of got us a little shocked. I remember when I first heard it, and my thought was how I felt like he was truly a statesman who wasn't in it to get rich. And as we look at his reported net worth, we see that was the case. And this man worked until his dying day. He worked his ass off until his dying day. And when he called the President of the United States to give him a report saying that he wasn't feeling well and then passing away. The second thought that I had, and many thought, was he was coming back from Ukraine, and there was the possibility of foul play with, you know how Vladimir Putin is. He likes to poison people with uranium and whatnot. So there was that thought as well. On the other side of the break at the top of the hour, Stephen Turley looks at that, and they are investigating. They are wondering, if something happened. There was a family history of heart disease in his family. His father died a couple years younger than he was of heart disease. It sounds like a major aortic artery, an artery in his heart, gave way. But we'll investigate that. We've also got more guests on the show today. Justine Murray joins us next hour, and Matthew Faraci in the final hour of the radio program from our brand new Newsmax studios here in Washington, D.C. This is the Rob Carson Show.
don't need to live with aches and pains. Visit ReliefFactor.com today.
Hold it now.
You are about to hear the most interesting, informative, thought-provoking, and funny show in America. On air and on the World Wide Web. This is the Rob Carson Show.
This is the Rob Carson Show as we broadcast live from the Newsmax studios in Washington, D.C. I am no longer working at home. You're going to notice that we've been working out some bugs as far as the broadcast is concerned. It may appear a little bit blurry at times. It's not your eyes. It is whatever Restream or whatever we're using. But clearly we have to work out some bugs and figure out how things are because we've not live streamed from this building before. So I appreciate your patience more than you'll ever know. I really do. This week was hellacious. I'll just put it that way. It was a lot of work, a lot of sweat, and fortunately, a lot of people here. So I Anyway, there's a lot to get to here on the show. Lindsey Graham passing away was a shock. I guess I'm a little troubled by how quickly people moved on. To be quite honest, I'm a little. The news cycle is so fast that a man of Lindsey Graham's stature can pass away, and by 10 o'clock Sunday morning, we're talking about something else. And I think that is. I think that's sad. To be quite honest, obviously, when the memorial service takes place, then we can revisit it. But I think we've moved on so quickly.
and that Saturday, he was dead. So obviously there is perfectly reasonable suspicion surrounding the circumstances of his untimely death.
Yeah. As far as Iran is concerned, Iran is looking for anything it can to prove that it has some sort of relevance or strength in the world. It's not the case at all. So there was, I'm doubting that Iran was successfully able to do anything, particularly since this isn't their part of the world. I could be wrong. I'm not an expert on this. Sorry, I'm not an expert on political assassinations. I have a feeling that is not the case. But, of course, the left were very untoward with regard to Lindsey Graham. They had the View cast, of course, were epically disrespectful to Lindsey Graham. I've got a little montage. Let me find it here of the left. Here you go. The left, of course, saying that Lindsey Graham may have at one point been a great guy, but because he was a Donald Trump supporter, he somehow was he when he died, he was a much lesser man, I guess is what they say. Here it is. If I can get it to play, and it doesn't want to play. All right, hold on one second. No, it doesn't want to play. Of course not. Yeah, because that's how things work in broadcasting. When you move into a new facility and you're trying to get everything to work perfectly and it doesn't. Here, let's try it again.
Honestly, I felt like I had buried Lindsey when John McCain died.
Lindsey Graham sold his soul to Donald Trump to get a war with Iran and died knowing how badly Donald Trump had
That's that idiot from the Lincoln Project spewing absolute nonsense and bile.
it up. For people looking for some karmic comfort,
This is why the Lincoln Project doesn't matter anymore at all.
There you go.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to stand here and pretend that Senator Lindsey Graham was a great and honorable man just because he's dead, because he wasn't. Lindsey Graham was a miserable, evil warmonger with no principles.
No, it is absolutely wrong and an absolute lie. But this is your Democrat Party. They're so desperate for some sort of points, I guess, that they would say such a thing. Here is, let's see, Josh Hawley talking about Lindsey Graham. I respect Josh Hawley, and of course, it doesn't want to load because that's what's happening right now. Let's try it again. Here is Josh Hawley.
I tell you something about Lindsey is he loved a good fight, and you could see that never more so than with Kavanaugh. I remember I wasn't in the Senate then. I remember watching the hearings, and it seemed like nobody else really knew what to do, but Lindsey knew what to do. He was like a heat-seeking missile after the truth, and he just blew up their railroad job. I mean, he just totally dismantled it. They were trying to railroad a good man. He knew it. He wasn't going to stand for it, and he blew the lid off, and I'm convinced it's because of him that Justice Kavanaugh is now Justice Kavanaugh, and I'm so glad Lindsey stood up and told the truth there. He made all the difference in the world, and that's very characteristic of his entire career.
Yeah, his sister, by the way, is going to step into his position. In the meantime, I'll share some audio on the other side of the break. With regard to that, let's take a break and come back. This is The Rob Carson Show.
must have legislation to secure the border, but it turned out that all we really needed was a new president.
There you go. It is the Rob Carson Show. We are broadcasting from the Newsmax studios in the heart of the swamp, just a few blocks from the White House. Holy heck. Got to do a few things here. I noticed we had to move the mic to the other side of the table to accommodate some different equipment here and a smaller desk, and it's covering up the logo. So we're going to have to figure out a way to do that. We've had to make some adjustments this morning, and I appreciate your patience on the live stream. It has been a little bit blurry at times, but all of you guys are there. Leslie, Lady Hawk, and Deplorable Dinosaur, and Susan Gibbs, and all of you guys on Rumble over there. Dookie Bear and Sportech, all of my friends, Pat Carr, all of you are there. All of my friends on Facebook, Broadcasting Prana, Upichat, Donna Innes Lambert, all of my glorious affiliates around the country. It is such a pleasure to be back on the air and to be in this building. And this means a lot to me, guys, because I last worked in commercial broadcasting at a station called KCMO in Kansas City. And the radio station, when I was hired, it was struggling. It was a very good, had a great history. KCMO Talk Radio in Kansas City. They're still around. They're in better states these days. But it was a struggle when I moved there. I worked 2 years into a 3-year deal before they decided I was too expensive to have around. Was out of work for about a year and a half. My wife said, "I'm going to divorce you. You better find something to do." I said, "Well, what do you mean to do? I've never been done anything outside of radio." And she said, "Well, sell bleeping cars." I sold cars for 3 years. When I was selling cars, a guy named Chris Ruddy called me, and you know the story from there. And ever since then, for 6+ years, I've been broadcasting from a home studio or a studio in Old Town Alexandria. And as fate would have it, and since God has a very dark sense of humor, the building that I moved into is being torn down. So by the enormous generosity of Chris Ruddy at Newsmax, he said, "Hey man, we got a space in the DC bureau. Let's give you a studio." And we began the process. It's taken over a month to kind of figure out how we're going to do it. And then ultimately we pulled the trigger on Friday, disassembled my studio in like an hour and a half, moved it over here, spent Friday unloading everything, took Saturday off from emotional and physical exhaustion, and then Sunday began to piece it all together. Yesterday we worked on piecing it all together again. Again, this is a space that hadn't been used. I have my neon sign in here. I'm getting some soundproof tiles for the walls, and they had to air condition the room because it's a pretty warm room. Otherwise, it's right next to the IT room, so it gets a little bit warm. But it is a space, and what's really important is that I'm near people again, and I'm really grateful because there are a lot of people here who I've known for years and have never worked with. And there are a lot of new faces that I have not. And you're going to hear a lot more guests on the show. You live streamers, we're going to start having guests on camera in the studio. Eventually, we've got a few investments we need to make in the physical plant before that happens. But I can't tell you what it means. I can't tell you what it means, guys. I mean, many of you who were listening years ago, when I first started with Newsmax, I did a broadcast for the very first time from New York City. I'd never been to New York City before, and I was invited to the Newsmax studios in New York City, where I broadcast across the street and 3 floors up from where Rush Limbaugh got his start. And it was remarkable, and looking out of that window, you could see the Chrysler building just a few blocks away. And down the street a few blocks, Radio City Music Hall, and all of that. And I was like, wow, it took me a very long time to get here, but I'm finally here. And now, after in many more years, going through much more, my wife's mother passing and my wife ultimately deciding to divorce me. And a new journey began, and I knew, and I believe I was guided here to Washington, D.C. It makes no sense for me to come to Washington, D.C. I have no family in Washington, D.C. It made no sense. None of my friends in Washington, D.C. are my friends anymore. But I moved to Washington, D.C., and I was guided here It was guided here, I think, because Donald Trump was the president of the United States. And I know that this election of Donald Trump, after trying to put him in jail, taking him off the ballot, trying to kill him, trying to bankrupt him, raiding Mar-a-Lago, impeaching him twice, I knew there was a reason why the left was so monstrously against Donald Trump. And when he won, despite all of the odds, nobody could have ever imagined that Donald Trump would be reelected. I never doubted he was going to be the president again. I never doubted it one bit, because I knew that 2020 was a sham. I knew that Joe Biden was not elected by 81 million votes. And I was censored. You were censored for believing that. And the truth is coming out. And it was. And I want you to put into perspective how difficult it was for you and I to know that an election was unfair, to know that a man was ushered into office who had no cognitive ability to be the president, and then proceeded to, with every day, try to destroy the country, opening the southern border, unleashing COVID on the world, shutting down businesses, destroying people's lives, and watching the country burn during the summer of 2020. And it was so much to take. And then January the 6th, and all of the people who were let into the Capitol reminded me last night when I was in the Capitol Rotunda, and how there was no damage to the interior of that building by the January the 6ers. They made it act like it was some sort of an insurrection, that there were millions of dollars worth of damage. There was no damage to the interior of the building. It was a psyop. It was a setup. And I noticed that last night. I thought about that when I was in the Capitol building. I've got a lot of amazing stories to share with you from my visit to the Capitol and my tour by House Speaker Mike Johnson through the Capitol of the United States of America, one of the most amazing events of my life. That's coming up. Justine Murray joins us next. Don't go anywhere. Hey guys, it's Carson for Ghost Bed. Do you really want another summer like last summer, barely sleeping because you were too hot all night? People blame summer heat for bad sleep when it really may be their mattress trapping heat. And if you already sleep hot, summer only makes it worse. That's why I switched to Ghost Bed. Helps keep you cool all night, no waking up sweaty, tossing and turning, or throwing the covers off at 2 a.m. Cooling tech is built into every mattress. It's not some expensive upgrade you have to pay extra for. Hot sleepers are some of Ghost Bed's happiest customers. Read the reviews. You get incredible support, less stiffness, deeper sleep, more rested mornings. I got my Ghost Bed about 6 months ago, and it changed my life. Ghost Bed gives you 101 nights to try it at home. You can sleep on it all summer long and feel the difference for yourself. How many more summers are you going to waste on bad sleep? Ghost Bed is currently having their 4th of July sale, offering my audience an extra 10% off. Go to ghostbed.com/Carson. Use the promo code Carson. That's ghostbed.com/Carson, promo code Carson.
No one has seen him for ages. It has been 6 months or longer. His country just keeps getting weaker, while America gets stronger. Khomeini, what happened to you, Khomeini? Could it be a through? Well, just maybe you are no longer around.
A lot of people are saying that he's badly disfigured. Other people are saying he's dead.
They are saying you were injured, but that somehow you're still breathing. When you see Iran's destruction, bet that it has you seething. Khomeini, future is dim. Khomeini, missing a limb. Khomeini, will we ever see
Hey guys, it's Carson for Ghost Bed. Do you really want another summer like last summer, barely sleeping because you were too hot all night? People blame summer heat for bad sleep when it really may be their mattress trapping heat. And if you already sleep hot, summer only makes it worse. That's why I switched to Ghost Bed. Helps keep you cool all night, no waking up sweaty, tossing and turning, or throwing the covers off at 2 a.m. Cooling tech is built into every mattress. It's not some expensive upgrade you have to pay extra for. Hot sleepers are some of Ghost Bed's happiest customers. Read the reviews. You get incredible support, less stiffness, deeper sleep, more rested mornings. I got my Ghost Bed about 6 months ago, and it changed my life. Ghost Bed gives you 101 nights to try it at home. You can sleep on it all summer long and feel the difference for yourself. How many more summers are you going to waste on bad sleep? Ghost Bed is currently having their 4th of July sale, offering my audience an extra 10% off. Go to ghostbed.com/Carson. Use the promo code Carson. That's ghostbed.com/Carson, promo code Carson.
Hi, it's Tony Marino, host of the super popular Newsmax Daily Podcast, a rundown of the day's top headlines and top highlights of Newsmax shows and interviews you may have missed, plus some sports, stock markets, and even some yucks, all packed into about 20 minutes. Search for the Newsmax Daily with me, Tony Marino, on your favorite podcast platform, and check out our entire lineup of great podcasts, including Greg Kelly, Rob Carson, and Jerry Callahan at newsmax.com/listen.
I saw the arrogance in the eyes of those settlers. 21 and 22-year-olds with guns, laughing that they had detained us. The arrogance of those young IDF soldiers that my tax dollars are funding. Having no respect for the fact that they were detaining Americans. No respect that there was an American congressperson in that bus. And laughing when our translator told them that there are Americans there and the American embassy is concerned. It is the arrogance of power. A power that has had no accountability, total impunity, and is created.
Oh, you want to talk about arrogant? I mean, honestly, Ro Khanna calling the people who didn't want him to go into the occupied territory in Gaza arrogant. My God, the hubris of this man. It is actually blowing up in his face. He looked like a damned fool. Joining us to talk about this and a whole lot more, one of our favorites is Justine Murray, media personality, works for MRC Video, is a contributor on Newsmax and other networks. She's on Fox. She's everywhere. She's everywhere. Justine Murray, how are you on this glorious Tuesday?
Having me as always, and thank you for that lovely introduction. Maybe I'll go into a military-occupied zone, and I'll give them that introduction like Ro Khanna did by saying, I'm a congressman. Don't you know who I am?
This is, to me, what the hell was the damned point? I mean, the Democrat Party at this point is a Confederate party. They are absolutely against America. They are working against America. You've got members of Congress trying to subvert our shutdown of Cuba, our blockade of Cuba, and now you've got this. This is unprecedented, Justine.
Is, but people like Ro, he's a typical Palestinian because they expect that they feel like they are entitled to break the law, and in this case, because he's so special and important, he's entitled to go into a zone, a dangerous war zone, and he wasn't going on a trip to Israel, out of good intentions or out of any intent to actually figure out what's going on and see things on the ground for himself. He was conducting a propaganda trip. He wanted to make himself into a victim. It's a political stunt. It's the same shtick that AOC pulled when she went to the border, that famous picture where she's crying crocodile tears. in all white. It's the same thing that Andy Kim, our local officials in New Jersey, they do when they go to Delaney Hall. They go to the ICE detention centers and they try to break in.
Yeah.
One representative literally tried to belly flop into the center. And when they get detained for acting like a bunch of adult children, then they were censored. They were abused.
You know what this was? This was a play into the Democrat Socialists of America. This is, he's thinking he's not going to be sent to, and I'll just say figuratively, he's thinking he's not going to be sent to the Democrat gas chambers. He's thinking that he'll get on the good side of the Democrat Socialists who are taking over. That's what this is about. This is exactly what this is about. He thinks he's going to be straddled the fence between the old guard Democrat Party and the Democrat Socialists. It shows what a lousy, stinking, awful human being he is.
Certainly, he's trying to earn his stripes with the left-wing mob, which has become the mainstream faction of the Democrat Party. We talk about the old school, and they created the monster. It's like they're Dr. Frankenstein.
Yes.
They created the monster, and now we're far beyond the beyond the windmill moment.
This is perfect. This is exactly what I said. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, right. They thought they could expand back then the big tent to the people who their motto is by any means necessary, and they don't want anyone right of communists in the so-called big tent. They threaten them. They even threaten old school moderate, so-called moderate Democrats, sometimes with political violence. They'll mob them. We just saw what happened to Scott Wiener. Scott Wiener's the guy who made it, who voted. Yep, he voted to make it legal or more legal for pedophiles to roam about and prey on kids. But that wasn't good enough for the Democrats. That wasn't good enough for the left. They followed him. They surrounded him in a giant mob at a gay pride parade. And simply because he's Jewish, even though he apologized for being Jewish, they still raised their fists and they chased him down. So there's no winning. And, of course, as you mentioned, you make a very good point. Ro Khanna is likely either trying to earn his stripes or he's trying to not end up like another Scott Wiener. But no matter how far you push, far enough is not good enough for the left.
Yeah, and I think that with regard to the Democrat Socialists of America, the party is in a civil war. I don't think the party is going to survive this. I said that the Democrat Party would have to re-examine itself or disappear into the dustbin of history. Right now, they're leaning into the dustbin. What do you think about this Democrat Socialist movement? I don't think it has legs nationally. Whenever it wins in elections in places like New York or California, people move away. And to be quite honest, when you promise that you're going to get rid of the president and the Senate or whatever the hell, those are words of war to the rest of us who are patriotic Americans, and it is not going to end well if those people get in power, because we aren't going to be ruled by them. What are your thoughts?
We're already, as you mentioned, we're already being ruled by them in New York, and people my age are getting their first dose of socialism, a little taste of the breadlines to come. But I don't know whether or not the socialists will succeed, but I have a bad feeling that they will succeed for long enough for people my age to finally wake up. It's really up to Gen Z. And unfortunately, when you have people who were born, 24-year-olds, they're all born after 9/11, they don't know what it's like for our very way of life to be threatened, and they were indoctrinated to believe that it's hip and cool to promote our destruction. They were told our ancestors, the builders before us, were evil. So, of course, they would support someone like Mamdani. But until what just happened in New York, where he, in the name of collectivism, everyone has to set their thermostats no lower than 78 degrees. Maybe that's when the sheltered prissies at NYU might start to wake up a little bit.
Well, I thought it was funny that, I remember when I was in college, I was poor. I don't know what I was politically, but I voted Mike Dukakis. I know, dear God in heaven, what the hell? But for some reason, I blamed whatever for my lot in life. But the fact was, I was just inexperienced. I had no ability to earn more because I had no skill whatsoever. And you got these idiots like this, what what's her name in Colorado, made $30,000 last year, has been in college for 12 years, and is $250,000 in debt. And this woman child, these children, they are children. They think they're going to take over. By the way, did you see the DSA meeting with everybody still wearing masks over the weekend?
And then they had to delete the picture after getting a lot of backlash. So,
well, that's okay. I made plenty of memes about it that will last forever. But listen, Jesse,
they're still living.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I think we have a little delay, by the way, in case you're wondering. We have a minor delay, and generally it's people with my brain, and you know, they kind of get left behind because I have a cocaine-addled hamster between my ears. But this is actually something technical we're going to take care of. More with Justine Murray on the other side of the break. I've got many things I want to ask, including a woman who moved to Ireland to marry an Islamist and ends up getting murdered by him. Big surprise when you marry Charlie Manson. That's coming up. This is the Rob Carson Show.
PM and 99.9 FM in Harford County.
Before I let you go, I do want to give you the opportunity, if you would like to respond to Congressman Ro Khanna. He is going to be on this broadcast. He says he visited the West Bank. He was blocked by settlers wielding guns. He says the IDF did not help defuse this situation. Do you have any comment on that this morning, Mr. Prime Minister?
Yeah, we're a country of laws, and people who break the law, we take them to court. In the West Bank, in Judea and Samaria, we've had thousands thousands of attempted attacks and warnings against terrorist activities against innocent Israelis, families, mother with their children driving along the road. They're stopped by terrorists and they kill them. And this has happened again and again and again. There is a vigilante effort, not by the settler community. They're 99.9%, law-abiding citizens. They work, they serve in the army, and so on. There are 150 juvenile delinquents that are not part of that community.
Yeah, by the way, that's Benjamin Netanyahu sounding off on Ro Khanna, attempting to enter the occupied territory because he wanted to show what a macho man he was, even though he's a man who married into money. It was a douchebag move on his part to do such things, and it was meant to be on the good graces of the radicals who are taking over the Democrat Party, the radical socialists, who just also happen to be anti-Semitic. It is honestly, it shows what how cheaply his soul is sold, and he's doing it to save his own rear end because he knows that if you don't side with them, they're going to destroy whoever disagrees with them. What say you, Justine Murray?
He's doing what a lot of other left-wing, formerly so-called moderate Democrats, they were never really moderate.
No.
But what they're trying to do now is they're all trying to flip positions. Kamala Harris, actually, she came up in the news again, maybe because she's trying to run for president, but she actually reached out to these pro-Hamas organizations, which she had previously, in the previous election, had pretended to condemn, but now she knows that in order to be popular among the Democrats, you have to side with the Hamas. I call we'll say Hamasniks since it's radio. I have another word for them, but I know that we're live. But it's the same.
Yeah.
My mother and I, we've been debating this actually because she says that the mainstream Democrats are still the ones who, they're not socialists. It's the socialists or the radicals who are just trying to basically strong-arm them into bending the knee. But I would say now it's the reverse. The radicals, the people whom the left and the mainstreamers deem the radicals are people like John Fetterman, who is actually more of a normal person. He's considered right-wing because he doesn't believe that, Hamas, the Islamist terrorists are the good guys and that we should open our borders and let the third world basically excrement all over this nation, if not make it disappear altogether.
Yeah, well, the thing about it is, I think that, like I said, I think actually I heard something from Alan Dershowitz the other day. He said, in Germany, 7,000 Jews voted for Hitler. And they thought that there would be some economic positives with that, or maybe they wanted to go down the good graces. That's what this reminds me of. That's what this reminds. I mean, honestly, I think it's a perfect comparison. You can support him, you can love up to him, you can whatever. You had mentioned this migrant being sought for killing a New York mom in Ireland. Met her at an anti-Israel protest. This is like and I wrote a little thing on it this weekend about women. You never see this with men. Men never go, I want to hook up with a radical jihadi who I know wants women to be subjugated. Men never follow female cult members to Jonestown. Men never. There's no Luigi Mangione for men. Why in the hell do women do this stupid crap? And then you find out that this woman gets murdered by this man. And this is why women fall in love with death row inmates, isn't it? And this is the ultimate end of it, that when they're not incarcerated. Go ahead.
It's partly, maybe it's some disgusting kink, or maybe it's partially that our gender, the female gender, is more inclined to be, they think that they're being sympathetic. Of course, we have the more emotional side. Of course, if a man was doing this, I would think that he's playing for a different team, or maybe he's a little bit light in the loafers.
You know what it is? You know what it is, Justine? You know what it is, Justine? Yeah. I can change him. Boom.
Yeah. Oh, I have so many girlfriends like that.
I know. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. Listen, we got to run, Justine. What? Go ahead.
Oh, walking to a Barnes & Noble and going to the female section, all of our books are like these fantasy stories about these evil, rapist vampires who their victims fall in love with them and they're whisked away. It's just, it goes far beyond suicidal empathy. For some reason, I'm part of 3 groups that always shoot ourselves in the foot.
I know.
The Jews, the liberal Jews, women, and Westerners as a whole. Why are we doing this to ourselves? None of these other minority groups, sometimes they shoot themselves in the foot, but all we do is pretend that, we need to apologize for our existence, essentially.
Yeah.
That's the message that white women have promoted and passed on to other women.
Yeah, if he needs to be changed, you ain't going to change him, and you should find somebody you don't need to change. Honestly, that's the truth of it all. It's a damn shame, but also, a terrible, terrible price to pay for something so obviously irresponsible. Justine Murray, thank you so much for joining me today. Where can people find your glorious work?
Certainly, you can check us out at MRC Video on X or at Media Research Center on Instagram. And, of course, I'll do a self-plug at Justine Brooke Murray on Instagram.
You are the best. Have a glorious rest of your week. Let's take a break and come back. This is The Rob Carson Show. I'm going to talk to the streamers now. Again, sorry for the occasional blurriness. I noticed the blurriness on Rumble and clearness on the other platforms. So I'm wondering, there's a lot of variables here. Whatever it is, I do appreciate you joining me, and a lot of people are joining me today despite the stuff. See, like on Rumble right now, it seems a little bit blurry. And YouTube looks crystal clear. So X looks crystal clear. But anyway, I appreciate your patience today. None of this is Facebook is a little blurry right now. But you guys have been enormously patient as we go through this change and ultimately broadcast. Hello, Kathy Dobin and Martinez mascot Matthew. And who else we got here watching over there? A couple of others. Chris Schwab, good to see you on Facebook. On my on my YouTube page. Look at a Hobbalone, Deplorable Dinosaur, Leslie Lady Hawk. Thanks for your patience today. I appreciate you so much. And we're going to get this all straightened around, and it's going to look absolutely incredible. Going to be incredible. I got to tell you, to be quite honest, this weekend I was so bloody exhausted. I was so bloody exhausted, guys. I slept last night. I got to bed at midnight. I slept until 6. Saturday night, I went to bed at 7, and I woke up at 6 the next morning. So thanks for having your patience. I appreciate you. I'm going to play a song parody now. Yeah. Here we go.
3 minutes.
I got a brand new piece of comedy from Jim Gossett coming up next hour about Zoran Mondami blowing off the Italians in New York. Really dumb thing to do, and it was purposeful. This is what snarky academic libtards do. They're snarky, they're snotty. We'll go ahead and we'll just exclude the Italians. Don't bleep with the Italians, okay? If you F around, you're going to find out with the Italian community. And how dare you do such a thing in New York City that is so deeply and richly ethnically diverse. It is. It always has been. This is nothing new, you morons. Just because you bring a bunch of Somalians in who want to open leering centers doesn't mean we're anti-immigrant. It's just we don't want ones that suck. How's that? Yeah, we don't want immigrants who suck. There you go. On the public teat, as it were. So we'll get to that next hour. Next hour. We would not be celebrating America 250 if it weren't for a strong foundation set by the framers. By the way, they started tearing down the remnants of the National State Fair, which was really something else. It was really cool. As much as all the haters tried to whiz on the 250th birthday of America, guess what? Those of you who decided you didn't want to participate, most of you are not going to live to the 300th, so you freaking blew it. Okay, 260 isn't going to be a big celebration. 270, 280, 290. It ain't going to be 300 till the next big party, and you're going to be dead or cryogenically frozen. So congratulations. I hope you enjoyed your temper tantrum. You missed the party. That said, we had a solid foundation financially set up by Hamilton, the gold standard, which was, of course, gotten rid of in 1971. Since then, our money ain't worth as much. You bought a loaf of bread lately? Try and find a loaf of bread under $4. Even the cheap crap. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. Why don't you consider buying some gold with Birch Gold? That's what I did. I took a 401k from selling cars that was doing nothing. It was lying there like my wife in bed the last year of our marriage. And the 9 years before. Anyway, I'll leave her out of this. It was just laying there. Wasn't doing anything. So here's the deal. I decided, what the hell, I'm going to put it into gold because gold has been kind of kicking butt for a while now, particularly the last decade or so. And so I said, let it ride, man. Let's do it. Let's do it. A+ rating from the BBB. Countless 5-star reviews, including from this guy right here. Birch Gold is the way to go. If you want to find out more about Birch Gold, just text my name, Rob. You know the drill. To 989898. Rob to 989898. You're going to get information, no obligation. And you're going to be able to maybe make your money work for you. Make your money work for you. Text Rob to 989898 for Birch Gold. Hour number 3 of the Rob Carson Show coming up. Don't go anywhere.
don't need to live with aches and pains. Visit ReliefFactor.com today.
You are about to hear the most interesting, informative, thought-provoking, and funny show in America. On air and on the World Wide Web. This is the Rob Carson Show.
This is the Rob Carson Show, and my television just shut off behind me as we broadcast from the brand new facility here in Washington, D.C. I'll try and get it going again. There we go. This is just, you know what? Here's the deal. Broadcast equipment and whatnot are like your dog and your toddler when you have company over. You're expecting them to, like, you know, show them their best and behave, and then what do? They do this kind of crap. They suddenly just turn off right as you're ready to go on the air. I'm going to go ahead and do this little thing here. There you go. There you go. You know what? You better work, or I'm gonna hit you with a sledgehammer after the show. Hi, how you doing? Hello. Welcome to the show. There we go. And now, of course, the camera's being a little weird and my face looks red. Oh, whatever. I don't even care. I'm just glad to be here in the building. We will work out of the kinks as the week progresses. But anyway, welcome to the show. Please come inside. In case you didn't know, I took yesterday off. I had hoped to be on the air yesterday, and had I been going to, say, for instance, my own physical plan in a spare bedroom or whatever, I would have been able to do it. It's a simpler process than moving into an existing broadcast building, which is where I am, in the heart of Washington, D.C., a few blocks from the White House. That's where I am right now. It is utterly overwhelming and amazing to think that right now I am in the heart of Washington, D.C. I have been invited by Newsmax Broadcasting to be in this building, and despite a few minor technical issues this morning, we have successfully launched the broadcast. It will get better as the week progresses, as we get rid of the bumps and all of this. Yeah, a lot of the times you've got different servers involved, you've got different megabytes per second or whatever the hell you're dealing with, and it's Stream Key is another thing we use. So I don't want to get into the weeds on it, but I do handle a good deal of the technical aspect of a radio program. I rewired and hooked up all the audio myself, which is how I roll. But I'm here in the building with Newsmax, and I'm meeting new people every single day. It is such a blessing and a gift to be here. I'm working in the same building as James Rosen. Greta von Susteren, who, by the way, just is a hell of a nice person. She's great. And others, and as people come into this building, we'll be inviting them in for interviews and whatnot. We're going to start doing in-studio interviews with a microphone and cameras, by the way, so people will be on camera as well as on the mic, and it's going to be remarkable. Last night, I had the opportunity, an unbelievable gift from a dear friend, Matthew Ferracci. Matthew Ferracci is an amazing guy. I've known him for about 6 years. He is with the Congress Strong Foundation. He is a major supportive of Israel, and last night I was invited to join him and Mike Johnson and other conservative influencers. You call me an influencer. I'm not an influencer. I'm an entertainer, and that's what I do. But we were invited into the nation's capital, and it was one of the most amazing events I could have ever imagined. I can't put into words what it was like to walk by the Capitol at dusk, see the beauty of the building, enter the building, enter a reception area, be asked by Matthew Ferracci to speak and to introduce, to meet other people, but I did. I introduced Matthew Ferracci. We went on a tour with Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson is absolutely amazing. Better than I could have imagined. He was so gracious. He was so humorous. He welcomed us open-armed into this building and gave us a behind-the-scenes look no one gets no one gets. We went into the chapel, and I thought I had posted this video on X a little while ago, but apparently I had some issues loading the video. But he brought us into the chapel, and this is where I recognized that he was really, he understood the principle and the made very clear that we've never been anything but a nation based on God and the Judeo-Christian ethic. There's no doubt about it. Those who say there's separation of church and state, you're high. We are so ingrained in the Judeo-Christian beliefs and culture, and it's one of the things that has made us the greatest country in the history of mankind. And there is no doubt, after listening to him speak, there is no doubt in my mind the reason why we have become the greatest engine of individual and economic freedom in the history of the world, dragging the world from the Dark Ages after thousands of years of Rome and London and Paris and thousands of years into it. They had not invented or discovered electricity. They had not invented or discovered hot water in homes. They had not invented or discovered the internal combustion engine. They didn't have the wherewithal. They didn't have the leadership. They didn't have the freedom. They didn't have the sense of reward for innovation that we did. And it all came from God. That's it. That's it. It all came from God when we acknowledged that our rights came from God, and we listed those rights like Moses came down with the commandments. It's very similar. My God, of course it's similar. It's incredibly, incredibly similar. 10 Commandments, things you don't do. Bill of Rights, things you do. Both of them based on the beliefs of in God. That, my God, that was profound. Yeah, 10 Commandment things you don't do, Bill of Rights things you do, and both of them come together to create the greatest engine of individual and economic freedom in the history of mankind that dragged the world out of the Dark Ages. We have existed for tens of thousands of years. Nothing could have anticipated the exponential growth of America, the growth at the speed of light since the discovery of and invention of the internal combustion engine, the telegraph, radio, television, wireless communications, satellite broadcasting. My God, the jet engine. All of these things came about because of the United States of America and because of our freedoms, what were given to us by the founders. And this happened when Mike Johnson brought us into the chapel next to his office and told us about his belief and then shared the beliefs of the founders. And then he asked someone to say a few words of prayer. And this pastor, who had never met before, is a young man probably in his early 30s. He delivered the most powerful prayer in this center of the heart of power in America, in this simple chapel with a stained glass window that has George Washington in prayer, a penitent George Washington in prayer. And he delivered this prayer. Jews and Gentiles, we bowed our heads, and we put, this woman next to me put her hand on my shoulder, and I held the hand of my friend Nick, who, by the way, is I guess I would say she has a belief system, but she's not really Christian. But even she was moved nearly to tears. We walked in the rotunda. Here's Mike Johnson in the rotunda. I'm going to try and play this audio. I'm not sure how good it's going to sound, just because it's from my cell phone, but I wanted to play a little bit of the House Speaker.
Cathedral, you have that kind of sense of awe when you walk in and everybody feels the same way, and I still do, and it's an amazing thing. The Capitol Dome is said to be one of the most recognized symbols in the world, and it represents freedom and liberty to everybody around the globe, and it's more than symbolism, it's the real thing. That's the literal center of Washington.
Okay, it's buffering a little bit. We've got some issues with the web here, But I hope to, at least in the next couple of days, be able to share, like for instance, the moment in the chapel where he spoke. We walked out onto this balcony near his office. We went into his office, the Speaker of the House's office, formerly housed by the awful Nancy Pelosi. And he shared some of the memorabilia in the office, the painting of Jefferson in his office, why it was there in a position. It wasn't a rather unceremonious position, but he explained why it was in that position in that office. We walked out onto the onto this balcony facing the Washington Monument, and the sky was orange yellow. It was ethereal. It was ethereal. And then we crossed the way and had dinner. And I sat with a number of terrific people, including my friend Matthew Faraci, who invited me there, and Enos Cantor Freedom sitting across from me. Enos Cantor Freedom was sitting across from me. We were breaking bread together, and we had a delightful conversation. There's a real possibility he could be a congressman someday. I think he can be, and that guy is tall. He is tall. And I met people from TPUSA, and I met people from Heritage Foundation, and I met Ted Cruz. Senator Ted Cruz dropped by, did a little drive-by, had a delightful and brief conversation with Ted Cruz. Met is it Willie from Duck Dynasty? He was there last night, a delightful conversation with him. We kind of got the same redneck cred, street cred from our upbringing and all of that. It was just something else. And I told you there's a reason why I'm here, and there's a reason why you brought me here and I brought you here, because that did happen. That did happen. You brought me here and I brought you here, and we're here. And last night, the first day that I was in Washington, D.C., in my office, I went to our nation's capital and was given this tour and sat in the House of Representatives and listened to this man speak. It was more than I could have ever imagined, and I have to believe that Providence and serendipity had something to do with it. Look at my social media if you'd like to see some of the videos right now and the pictures, okay? Just go to Twitter, Rob Carson Show, Instagram, Rob Carson Show, all of them, Rob Carson Show. You'll see it. We'll talk to Matthew Faraci, who put together the event at the bottom of the hour. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show.
WCBM.
Have a rejoin.
Okay.
Who would not want voter ID? Only somebody that wants to cheat.
It is the Rob Carson Show. Zoran Mondami. I'm not sure if I'm ready to make a prediction. I made a prediction about Graham Plattner months ago, and I said he was not going to make it to November. There's no way. And I was right, and I'm leaning into the lame duckery of Zoran Mondami at the beginning of his term. He's not even been in a year, and he is leaning into lame duckery. I know you're saying, oh, but he's the leader of the Democrat Party, and the communists are taking over and all this. We're going to kick the communist rear ends up between their shoulders. We're going to destroy these tools. 100% we're going to do that. So that's what's going to happen. We are going to do that 100% with these communists. By the way, here's Ro Khanna this weekend admitting he was wrong about Nazi Graham Plattner.
I want to ask you about something else that has been under a microscope, your endorsement of Senate candidate Graham Plattner in Maine. He has since dropped out amid a swirl of controversies. Congressman, you stood by him through a series of previous controversies, from a tattoo resembling a Nazi symbol to his online posts blaming survivors of sexual assault, even after the New York Times published allegations from ex-girlfriends describing a pattern of emotional abuse, aggressive behavior, which he denies, we should say. Why weren't those past controversies a breaking point?
Yeah, here we go.
For me, the line always was sexual assault or sexual violence.
Yeah, okay.
And as soon as that came out, I was the first person to withdraw my endorsement. But I will say I got that call wrong. And if there's some self-reflection, it is that we all need to see the signs earlier of people who may engage in domestic violence. Look, I wasn't the only one. You had Planned Parenthood. You had Senator...
You are a lying piece of crap. Honestly, an absolute lying piece of crap. You stood by him till the very, very end, 100%. Ro Khanna, I swear to God, Ro Khanna bankrolled pro-Plattner rally after women's unsettling allegations exploded into public view. This from the New York Post. He was completely down with this guy. Ro Khanna, widely expected to run for president. He will never be the president. Ro Khanna will never be the president. Went so far as to share a stage with him after a New York Times report described Plattner's unsettling conduct toward female former girlfriends, and they did this. Ro Khanna's congressional committee, Roe for Congress, funded the rally that featured a nearly 30-minute speech by Plattner, who was later accused by ex-girlfriend Jenny Rasico of drunkenly raping him allegedly. Her allegedly. So Ro Khanna, honestly, and then he goes to Israel. He goes to the Gaza because he wants to prove his street cred with these Democrat socialist morons who we are going to destroy. We're going to wreck. Here is their platform, by the way. This is according to Fox News. This is these spoiled, entitled children who have been taught about socialism in textbooks, have been brainwashed by the liberal academia, and it's taken decades and decades to get here. And here is Fox News talking about these idiots
that are winning across America. Well, absolutely. And just real quick on the vetting aspect, yeah, Graham Plattner, the people who brought him into the race only vetted him in 3 days. Vetting typically takes weeks. So Democrats are going to potentially end up in the same position they were with Graham Plattner. But on this, yeah, Aisha, what they're telling us is they want to dismantle the system from within.
Yeah.
And you look at countries like Venezuela where socialism took over. Hugo Chavez was democratically elected. He promised,
this is Lisa Booth, by the way,
on the same things we're hearing from some of these socialist candidates on the left, to return power to the people, to fight corruption. And then what happens?
All of the things that when they are voted in places like Seattle, people stream out by the millions.
Is they get elected and they do the opposite. The power gets consolidated with these bureaucrats, with these politicians, with this new ruling class, and the system gets corrupt.
Yeah, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Then in Chicago, we were talking about the Italians and how Mondami decided to forget them when it came to a map. They included places like Little Palestine, but not Little Italy. Rob Schmidt has this great producer at Newsmax, and he hit the streets to find out what they thought.
Frank Sinatra once said, "Start spreading the news.
news. We're spreading the news, and here in Little Italy, local Italians are still angry at Mayor Mamdani for leaving their neighborhood off of the city's immigrant enclaves map. The mayor says he's going to fix this and is blaming the previous administration for the snub. But the locals say he's just full of baloney.
I don't believe a word he says.
If he says he's going to put it on, then he better put it on.
Maybe he forgot about it.
No, I don't think he forgot about it. I think he forget about it.
My mother grew up here on Grand Street. My grandma, my grandpa came from Italy. He forgot who built this city. He's got to remember.
Maybe he just forgot about it.
No, he didn't. He's just a jerk off.
Yeah. That is Newsmax. Here is Jim Gossett singing about Mamdani.
But daddies don't like Mamdani. Irish don't like Mamdani. Freaks don't like Mamdani, cause he snubs their neighborhoods.
Hey!
Mamdani, that creep Mamdani. Italians he won't recognize, that commie ignores us. Zoran abhors us, and his Italian-hating staff join in the chorus. If you happen to be a Jew, Zoran will ignore you too. Your neighborhoods he will fail to list. Greeks and Irish get the same. Mamdani hasn't any shame. That's why they are all extremely pissed. We're mad at Mamdani.
Come on.
We're steamed at this commie.
Yeah.
Furious at Mamdani, cause Italians he has dissed.
There you go. That is brand new from Jim Gossett. You can go to patreon.com, Jim Gossett Comedy, patreon.com, Jim Gossett Comedy. Coming up, the great Matthew Ferracci, Congress Strong Foundation. An incredible night last night in our nation's capital. I will never forget it. We will talk to him coming up on the other side of the break. Don't go anywhere. Hey guys, it's Carson for Relief Factor. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Those words weren't written for history books. They were written for you. But it's hard to pursue happiness when pain is a part of your everyday life. Relief Factor was created to help people address inflammation, one of the most common causes of ongoing aches and pains from aging, overexertion, and daily living. It's a 100% drug-free, research-based formula that works through multiple metabolic pathways to support comfort and mobility. No prescription, no masking symptoms, just real relief so you can keep moving forward. I work out every other day, I crush it at the gym, and I ride my bike 100 miles on the weekend. I credit Relief Factor for making all of those activities pain-free. And as America celebrates 250 years of independence, give yourself a chance to reclaim yours. To commemorate, they're offering a special patriotic price, just $17.76. Yeah. So you can pursue your happiness being pain-free. Your $17.76 3-week quick start is ready for you. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4-RELIEF. That's ReliefFactor.com or 800-4-RELIEF. For 250 years, Americans have believed in one powerful idea, that we were meant to live free. Free to work hard, free to move, free to enjoy life without being held back. But if everyday aches and pains are slowing you down, might be time to declare your independence from pain. I take Relief Factor. There's a reason why at my age I'm able to crush it at the gym and ride 30 miles on a mountain bike on Saturday mornings. Relief Factor. It's 100% drug-free, research-based formula designed to help your body fight inflammation, one of the root causes of pain. It's not a quick fix or a temporary mask. It works from inside out at the source. Relief Factor was created so people could get back to living life on their terms, walking, working, exercising, enjoying the moments that matter. This year, as we celebrate 250 years of American independence, take a stand for your own freedom. To commemorate, they're offering a special patriotic price, just $17.76. Yeah, your $17.76 3-week quick start is ready for you. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4-RELIEF. ReliefFactor.com or 800-4-RELIEF. It is the Rob Carson Show. I was going to play some audio from Speaker Mike Johnson. House Speaker Mike Johnson. Last night, an incredible event in our nation's capital. I'm still buzzing from it. I'm trying to digest the weight of it. It was absolutely remarkable. A gentleman who I've known now for going on 7 years, who has been a part of my life since times were so dark I didn't know if I'd recover, and he has seen what has happened, and last night he invited me to be a part of this wonderful group of people in our nation's capital, with Mike Johnson hosting a very private and personal and amazing tour of our nation's capital. Matthew Faraci, welcome to the Rob Carson Show. You are with Congress Strong Foundation. My goodness, my friend, I couldn't have even imagined such an evening.
Yeah. You know, Rob, for your listeners, there's no way to put words to it, is there? I mean, there's just, I almost want to flip the mic here and kind of interview you, because, people see Speaker Johnson, and because he has to give interviews so much on process and procedure, and do we have enough votes for this, and are we going to pass that, and are we going to do this, and are we going to do that, people don't see the man. And first of all, I wanted to ask you, Rob, what was your, having seen the speaker from afar and then having spent a couple hours with him as you did, up close and personal, what did you see that was different than what most people see?
I profoundly trust him. That's number one. I profoundly trust his belief that America is the greatest engine of individual and economic history, of prosperity in the history of mankind. I believe that he is 100,000% down with the foundational principles of the Founding Fathers and the Judeo-Christian roots of America more than anything. And this wasn't preachy, Matthew. This wasn't preachy, but it did. He did such a it was a graduate level course in what an incredible important role God and faith has had to make us this country, Matthew. It was a graduate level course. It never became so crystal clear, and how wrong those who were saying separation of church and state, how truly wrong they are, Matthew. That is the most profound thing I took from it, and I didn't expect it would be a faith outing. It was just something else.
It's funny, Rob. No single experience has helped me remember more why we're here what we're doing here, how we got here, what we're about, and what our purpose is and what our future is as a country, then the speaker, he understands, he embodies in one human being if the founders had to use a vehicle today to speak to us about what our purpose is, what our why as a country, it's the speaker. And it's right. Don't you agree with that?
Mike Johnson, I knew he looks kind of slick and, all of this. And I enjoyed him in subcommittee hearings when he was doing questioning and all of this. But I'm going to tell you, it's kind of like Rubio, Secretary of State. This position has crystallized him as a human being.
Yes. I'm curious, Rob. What particular part of the tour that your listeners would understand really stuck out to you? Like, is there a story or an anecdote that really stands out to you as you reflect on the evening?
The chapel. The chapel was amazing. And Matthew, I know you are a Jew and I am a Gentile, but we are brothers. And when Speaker Johnson asks someone if they would like to pray in that room, and this young pastor takes over, and we all touched. Lorenzo Sewell. Oh my God, yes. Yep. I knew that. I knew.
Which, by the way, Rob, he was the man that prayed for President Trump at the inauguration and gave the best prayer I've ever heard.
That's true. I remember that now. Yeah. I remember that now. Yeah. But he, out of nowhere, offers an extemporaneous prayer for the group. I've been talking to you for a very long time about serendipity. I've been talking to you for a very long time about providence. And on my first day here in Washington, D.C., moving into the Newsmax studio, that this event happened solidified everything that I've been talking to you about how we are the reaction to the action of evil, and that we have evil on its heels. It all just, it was ground zero, brother. It was ground zero for years of talking about this.
Yeah. And what about, was there anything, Rob, for you that stuck out? Because one thing people don't realize is how funny the speaker is.
Oh, he would
and also how good his Trump impression is.
He would launch into the Trump impression. He would launch into this Trump impression, and he did it just like Trump. I mean, you knew that these were the words of Trump that he was channeling. It was absolutely hilarious. The tour of the, for instance, I remembered I was reminiscent of January the 6th and of the lie, where they entrapped patriotic Americans to come into the rotunda. There was no damage, and people stood in the velvet ropes. And when he described that room, and we looked up at the painting on the ceiling, that was remarkable. And the paintings on the walls, that was remarkable. Also, in the House chamber, I thought it was absolutely amazing when he talked about the State of the Union and the Democrats and how awful they were and how Donald Trump put them in their place. That was a remarkable story too.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. We also had, Rob, the privilege of having so many incredible conservative and faith-based, I guess we can call them influencers, people of influence there.
Yes.
And also we had some great members of Congress, such as Congressman Stutzman came to be with us, and Josh Burkeen from Oklahoma.
Yep.
Senator Ted Cruz came along and said hello to everybody.
John McGuire from Virginia.
I'm trying to remember
John McGuire from Virginia.
Yep.
Had a delightful conversation with him.
Yeah.
It was, and then I got to speak to Senator Cruz. Senator Cruz was so gracious, and I just told him that I appreciate him so much as a statesman. And I told him if I had $1 for every time I've used a soundbite of his, he'd owe me $1 million.
Seth Dillon was there from the Babylon Bee. Jeremy Boring.
Yes.
Andrew Colvett from Turning Point.
Oh.
Lucas Miles from Turning Point Faith. Billy Hallowell from CBN. I mean, I'm just trying to mend. Willie Robertson.
Yes, Duck Dynasty. Yes.
Saw you and Willie. You and Willie traded a couple of jokes back and forth. Yeah.
Well, we got the same white trash cred, bro. You got to understand that we got the same white trash cred. They would do a version of that in Iowa called Pheasant Dynasty, and my family would have been part of it. Listen, I want to take a break and come back. More with Matthew Faraci, Congress Strong Foundation on the other side of the break. This is the Rob Carson Show.
Radio 680 WCVM.
More with Matthew Faraci, Congress Strong Foundation, the incredible evening that we shared, and I was able to share with you on social media on at the nation's capital last night. Mike Johnson hosting an incredibly intimate and incredibly educational, inspirational evening for a number of us. It was such a blessing. We wouldn't be celebrating America 250 if it weren't for a strong foundation set by the framers. Hamilton built America's financial foundation on the principles of sound, stable money. A principle later embodied by the gold standard, which we abandoned, of course, now. We've seen inflation erode the dollar's value, although inflation has been revised down for last month, and it's down this month. Well, who's been saying that? I don't know. Donald Trump, the guy who's been put all these policies that obviously would cause inflation to go down and investment in America and manufacturing to return. But, I'm not an economist, just somebody with common sense. If you have common sense, you might want to diversify your holdings, maybe invest in gold, by the way. Birch Gold has been helping Americans solidify their savings with gold the last 15 years. They've done it for me. They can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. Learn how gold fits into your portfolio. All you got to do is text my name, Rob, to the number 989 9898. You'll get some information without obligation from Birch Gold. You'll learn a lot about it. And then ultimately you may decide like me and say, yeah, you know what? Buy some gold and let it ride. A+ rating from the BBB. Countless 5-star reviews. Let Birch Gold help you build your foundation on gold. Why not? Text my name, Rob, to 989898 for Birch Gold. That's Rob to 989898 for Birch Gold. You know what? Matthew Faraci, Congress Strong Foundation. Another very powerful moment was when Mike Johnson brought us into what was the previous House chamber and told us about how John Adams had a stroke in that room, and Abraham Lincoln was with about 30 feet of him in the same Congress. And it was remarkable to know that a man was the president and then became a member of Congress, and to know what that must have been like, that Congress having Abraham Lincoln and that great man. It was a remarkable story. Of course, Adams died a few days later.
Yeah, and what is amazing about that story for your listeners is that Abraham Lincoln was a one-term congressman, and John Quincy Adams was known as a bit cranky in those days. He was older. He'd fought the good fight, and he was an abolitionist, and he was trying to fight for slavery, against slavery, and a reporter, as the speaker recorded, a reporter asked him, "Hey, Mr. President, now Congressman, you've been fighting against slavery your whole life. You have not seen slavery defeated in your lifetime. Do you feel like you failed?" And he said, "The duty is ours. The consequences or the results are God's." Yeah. And it's a clarion call to our generation to understand that the duty is ours, that we have to fight for life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, and underneath that our rock-solid belief in God and our Judeo-Christian values, and that we may not necessarily get to see the results of the work that we're doing. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't.
Yeah.
But the results are up to God. And most significantly, Abraham Lincoln was the pallbearer at John Quincy Adams' funeral. He's one of the pallbearers.
Wow.
John Quincy Adams downloaded to him his strategy to defeat slavery, and Abraham Lincoln then, as we know, lost every election after that until he won that one election to become president.
Yeah.
And then he implemented, decades later, John Quincy Adams' strategy and successfully started to dismantle the evils of slavery. So, again, John Quincy Adams was being prophetic in those words because literally the duty was his, the consequences were God's. And John Quincy Adams was successful, just not in his lifetime, and through somebody else, through another. God chose to finish the task.
It was that was an amazing story, and there are these little in the floor that show where Quincy sat and where Lincoln sat in that room. It really, I got to tell you, that the whole event. I'll ask you, what was the most powerful part of the event last night for you, sir?
Well, for me, Rob, it was the realization that for everybody that's listening that, and this is not my capacity running the foundation, it's just me as a citizen thinking about this, that we're not running, this is not an election, this midterm election is not an election where there's differences on tax policy or there's nuances like there used to be with Republicans and Democrats 20 or 30 years ago. We're literally in an election where one party is fighting for traditional America and traditional American values, and the other party is being overtaken by communists. And President Trump has said that very astutely, but you felt it last night that there are people in this sacred chamber of the House of Representatives that represents the people, who represent values not only un-American, they represent the values that are the antithesis of everything America stands for. They don't believe in freedom. They don't believe in human rights as the way we understand it, that our rights come from God and not from government. They don't believe in the fundamental things that Democrats used to believe in 20 or 30 years ago. Think about the Bill Clinton Democrats. James Carville said recently, this is, I can't fly with this Democratic Party. Like, I can't, this is a bridge too far for me, these crazy communists that are trying to take over. And literally, it's like a contrast, Rob, of good and evil. Where you have the speaker who is
a
righteous guy, a godly guy who loves America, loves everything we stand for. And on the other side, we're looking over at the abyss. And I think people have been comfortable in this country for a long time, too comfortable. Things have been too good in America for too long.
Yes.
And people do not recognize how close we are to losing the whole thing. And frankly, that if 2024 had gone a different way, we'd all be in much different circumstances.
Yes.
And if this election, this fall goes the wrong way in 26, Rob, Katie barred the door.
Yeah, we're not going to do it. We're not going to let it happen. We're not going to let it happen. We are not going to have it. We are warriors. We are battle hardened. We are not battle weary. We will defeat this scourge. We defeated it all over the world. We left our dead buried in France, for God's sake, and other areas. We are not going to let it take over our country. Tell me quickly about Congress Strong Foundation. We got to wrap things up. Matthew Faraci.
Yeah, thank you, Rob. We're Congress Strong Foundation, congressstrong.org. People check us out. Our job is to make Congress straight again, the founding great again. Sorry, that too. Freudian slip. The founding fathers envisioned a constitution where Congress is Article 1 is that we don't have this co-equal thing. That's garbage that's been peddled in public school. Congress is designed to be the most powerful branch of the government because it is closest and most accountable to the people.
All right.
We have forgotten that, and we've given their power away to the courts and to the executive branch, and that needs to stop.
All right.
And so we're educating the American people and Congress.
We'll have you back on. We'll have you.
Their own job.
We will have you back on CongressStrongFoundation.org. Matthew Faraci, God bless you. God bless America. We're going to win. We are soldiers in a battle. We are in a war, and we're going to win. There is no other choice. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show. Hello. Hello. That was good, wasn't it? Who's watching here? Who's watching over on Rumbly Roo? The Rumbly Roo, Scarecrow, Dookie Bear. Trump has nixed the idea of charging a toll at the Straits of Hormuz. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we need to do it. Shuttered says, I need to tear my dishwasher out, add another cabinet. Well, as long as you don't get rid of your dishwasher. The Salmon Run Go, Wild Bill West, you talking about, who is it, Sport Tech? Doesn't Sport Tech live in Alaska? Hello, Kelly 1108909, whatever that is. Welcome to the show. Let's look over here. JB Billett, Leslie, Lady Hawk, Hobaloon, Scott Davies, all of you guys on YouTube talking. Hope you're having a great day today. And, of course, all of you guys over there watching on Facebook as well. Again, I didn't expect today to be flawless. It certainly wasn't that. It wasn't completely unwatchable or listenable, but I do think it was pretty cool. Pretty cool. Oh, yeah, I got to grab this real quick here. Apologize. Graham. Hold on one second. I got to grab something real quick. I apologize, guys. I see Lindsey Graham's sister's being sworn in. Hold on.
It was 2:20 here.
I want to thank the governor for selecting me to serve the remainder of Lindsey's term. It is such an honor. Lindsey has always been there for me, and now I will be there for him. My brother was the most amazing person, outstanding leader, and just a genuinely good man. He was kind and considerate and loved by his family dearly. As I think everyone would agree, Lindsey worked harder than anyone.
Yeah, I'd have to agree as well. That is Darlene Graham Nordone, Lindsey Graham's sister, being sworn in for the until the special election to fill his seat as a senator in the U.S. Senate, obviously. Yeah, it's been, the news cycle is so chaotic that we allow massive news events to be forgotten quickly, and I don't want Lindsey Graham's passing to be forgotten. I'm not a friend of Lindsey Graham. I'm not a member of the Lindsey Graham fan club, but I do think he is what Congress needs more of. I really, really do. And I could see people like Lindsey Graham and John Fetterman working together. What's happening with the Democrat Socialists of America is smelling salts to the Democrat Party. And fortunately, some people in the Democrat Party are saying no, unlike people like Ro Khanna, who have invited the vampire into the home, and the vampire will kill everyone in the party. But we are warriors for this. We are going to... I'm here for a reason. You're here for a reason. I know it wasn't the most bump-free day, technically, for the show, but I am here in Washington, D.C., in the belly of the beast, and I am here to fight with you. From Newsmax Studios, God bless you, America's founded. Mr. Chris Ruddy for giving me this opportunity. And until tomorrow, which is Wednesday, do not catch the stupid. I'll see you then.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.